In 2025, I played a lot of games, 50 to be exact, and I wanted to go over my top 10 games I played in 2025, inspired by videos made by Dunkey or UnderTheMayo, which I have watched multiple times over. So I hope it'll be interesting for you to see what my favorite games I played this year were. And if you enjoy this kind of content or this video, make sure to subscribe. Maybe I'll make more than one video a year or something, I don't know. Well, I mean, that's just the way it goes sometimes, I guess. You might notice that my top 10 also slightly leans more towards AAA publishers, especially the big three. But those were most of the games I played this year, if you look at the list at the end. So it's about as unsurprising as you would expect. Also, I'm only counting games I played for the first time this year. So even though I replayed games like Portal 2, Doom Eternal, and God of War 2018, I will not be including them on this specific list. Now with everything done, let's get right into the top 10. At number 10 we have Tekken 4. For a game that came out in 2001, I think it still looks extremely good. And it's probably my favorite fighting game, like proper single player experience ever. And if you hear anyone when they're talking about arcade modes and fighting games, it's always Tekken 4. For a game with a roster this size, to have that many cutscenes and that many unique battles, especially with Kazuya or Jin, I think you would never see a fighting game like this ever again. It's also got one of the best soundtracks in gaming. Its songs, especially like Kitsch, which is I think the beach one, and the airplane level soundtrack too, are so good. I just think this game is easily one, maybe not gameplay. I know a lot of people don't like how this game plays competitively, but when it comes down to music, visuals, especially I love how Kazuya looks. I played Tekken 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8 this year, and I think Tekken 4 is the best looking Kazuya, and the best single player mode. If you want a single player mode that has 8 back-to-back battles, and then each one is 2 rounds, and then each level feels so unique from one another, I don't know, there's so much to this game. For a game this old, to still look this good, and still be worth playing, I think that says a lot. It's not my only old game on this list, it's not even the oldest game on my top 10, but I mean, for this kind of game, for a fighting game to still hold up 25 years later, says a lot about the type of game it is. And number 9 we have Mario Odyssey. When I first started, I had trouble getting into it. I think I don't want to say it's not new user friendly because, I mean, it's from Nintendo. But I think if you're not collecting all the collectibles in each level and you're not engaging with the platforming, which I wasn't initially, I think you kind of have a hard time getting into this game. But once you're deep in, I think I only really started loving this game when I got to Luncheon. Because that was the first level where I'm like, oh shit, I can do whatever I want. So I decided doing all the collectibles in one level, and then I went back and I almost did everything. I 100% every kingdom except for Mushroom and Dark Side. I think it's a very nice thing when you have a franchise this old and it's still able to constantly reinvent itself. Odyssey isn't like Galaxy, and Galaxy isn't like Sunshine, etc. I think that's probably the best element of Nintendo for me, where each entry in each franchise, especially Zelda, Mario, is just constantly different from the last. I think it's something very special to exclusively Nintendo. I think that's what they're gonna start doing with God of War, which I'm quite excited for, Egypt and then the Norse. But yeah, that I really love. I think that's something every franchise should be doing. At my number 8 we have Banjo Kazooie. For a game that came out in 1998, the fact that it has this many diverse levels, the way it's still controlled extremely well to this day, maybe that's built by control scheme, I don't know. The fact that its levels have such great music, the way it implements music in this game. Obviously a game called Banjo Kazooie would need to have good music, right? But the way they do it, each level has so many tracks. Just on Mumbo's Mountain alone, you have your open world track, then you have your underwater track, then you have your track for being in the ant area, and you have a track for being inside Mumbo's house. They did so much, and this is a game from 1998. I don't like it just because it's old, but the fact that it is old and it's this good means a lot. And just like Mario Odyssey and another game later on the list, when you have this many different variable levels, like Freezy Peaks, Gobi's Valley, Mad Monster Mansion, all these levels are completely different from one another, and they have so many unique ideas. I've heard a lot of people say Click Clock Wood is one of their favorite levels, but you would never see a level like Click Clock Wood nowadays. The fact that you go to 4 areas and it's different seasons of the same place, and the stuff you do in the early areas progress into the further areas. Level of my favorite level, the idea behind it is extremely impressive. At number 7, we have Final Fantasy XVI. I really love the way this game looks. This was one of the first games where I started taking in the environments, taking photos every chance I got, utilizing photo mode, I think this game was really what pushed me to like really love how games look and start caring a lot more about how games, their art direction, and also everything that makes up how games feel. I think the music in this game is extremely good. Every song in this game track is a banger. I mean, it's very freaking good. And that's not even to get into the gameplay. The gameplay is one of the best hack and slashes I've played. I love the way they implement the icon system. It reminds me a lot of how runic attacks work in God of War. With a lot deeper system, you have all these different attacks, you start comboing it. I really like that. As well as the addition of Toggle, which is similar to V like attacks in Devil May Cry 5, but it's kind of like I know what hack and slash is. It's like they do so much, and you think it would like wouldn't work, but it all works together because it's so well designed. I love Final Fantasy 16. I get why a lot of people don't like it. I think the story is pretty hit or miss at times, and that's my biggest problem with the game. Its story gets pretty hard to, I don't want to say hard to follow, it just falls off a cliff. Its pacing is pretty bad. Also, this game doesn't really follow the traditional Final Fantasy formula of being a turn-based game, or those systems or anything like that. But if you're not a massive Final Fantasy fan, and you can look past all of that, I think you'll love this game just as much as I did. At number 6, we have Infamous Second Son. The idea of making a third-person shooter open-world game that's also a superhero game, I mean, you just don't see that anymore. I think Second Son is easily my favorite Sucker Punch game. I played all of Infamous between last year and this year, and I think Second Son is probably my favorite superhero game, full stop. For a game that came out 11 years ago, the fact that it can still compete graphically with other games coming out now, I mean, it's a first-year PS4 game, isn't that crazy? And while it doesn't compare to the first Infamous, which is one of my favorite stories in video games as a medium, I think Second Son's story is still pretty decent. I saw Augustine was still a good villain, even though she's not as good as Kessler from the first game. I think Delson Rose is still an interesting character, carried by Troy Baker. And I liked Reggie a lot, who's voiced by Travis Willingham, another great voice actor. If this is a bad story, then I'd hate to see what a terrible story is. And yeah, the powers are great. I love Neon especially. Neon with the super speed. And then it has my favorite power from the first game with being able to snipe. Well, I still don't think this is the perfect superhero game, which I'm hoping will be a fourth Infamous if we ever get it. I think what this game does well is still like way above like Spider-Man or other superhero games I've played. And my number 5 is Halo Reach. I think Halo Reach is one of the best stories in gaming, full stop. It reminded me a lot of war stories like The Things They Carried, the book. I haven't seen the movie. And I think it's very good. A lot of people don't like Halo Reach because they can't connect with Noble Team, but it reminded me a lot of how you're part of this, like you join up in the war and you're grouped with these people you don't really get to know other than through these encounters. You learn about your team through fighting alongside them. I think it's a very smart way to tell a story. I think the things you do, the way the game progresses over time, I think it's really a game you have to play for yourself. And even though this game is almost 16 years old, I think this game holds up extremely well. I think it still compares to FPS games that are coming out now, like Doom Eternal, Borderlands 4. I think it's that good. I would really recommend this game to anyone who loves FPS campaigns like I do. Especially as someone, I played all of Doom this year, and I played all of Halo this year. I think this game stands above like everything else. I really love Halo Reach. I feel like everything they made was extremely intentional. You can see videos where on Long Night of Solace or Tip of the Spear, where the level is specifically made in a way that you run out of sprint where they want you to run out of sprint. And that's what I meant to get into the space battles, New Alexandria. This game is extremely good. It's just a shame it's so short, because if there was more of this, then this would easily be way higher. Celebrate is a game a lot of people like to talk about, but not a lot of people have played. So as someone who has platinum this game, and played it 3 times over, I'll tell you, it's pretty good. I basically picked this game up on a whim, because I knew it was a hack and slash like game published by PlayStation, and you know, as someone like God of War and Devil May Cry, I'm like, well, you know, that sounds pretty good to me. And I was extremely surprised how deep all the systems were. They have, I just call them runic attacks because I like God of War, but it's like inspired by Dragon's Dogma or whatever. But you have these like, when you press the bumper you can use different attacks, and then they do that like 3 times over. And then I even get into the third person shooter path. You have these linear segments versus these open world segments. Celebrate just loves reinventing itself. I especially love the way that chess work in this game. As someone who loves like rhythm games or loves doing monkey type, the fact that you have to open the chest with like the D-pad and you have to do it in a specific order, I just love that so much. And the surf segments, and then the, like, I don't know. It just wants to do so much, and it does it so well. I know a lot of people don't like this game's story, but as someone who doesn't really care that much about story, I didn't really mind. Because I think if a game has massive sets and has fun enemies, like this game has so many, like such a large enemy pool. If you do all of that well, I mean, I don't really care that your story is like dumb as fuck. I think this game's story is pretty hit or miss. One of the reveals late into the story was something I thought they had already revealed. So when they revealed it, I'm like, oh. I'm not gonna say that is, but you know, when you get to that part, you'll know. At number 3, we have Death Stranding 2. Now, I have a long history with this franchise, or even just Kojima games in general. Death Stranding 1 was one of the first games I got for free on Epic, and I just could not stand playing that game. I skipped the first cutscene, I got very bored very quick, and then I just dropped it. But then when I went back to it, I like, wow, this is actually pretty good. And then I got Death Stranding 2, I'm like, wow, this is really good. Also, this feels like a given since it's a Kojima game, but the story of this game is extremely good. I think the later half of the story, past the No Point of Return, is like one of the best stories I played this year. Up there was like Halo Reach, and then, you know, maybe one of the games a little bit later. I really did love this story. I think the way it's portrayed, I think also you have these massive sets. I think all of it combined is so impressive. And then you have Troy Baker as Higgs. I think his performance is so much. He's definitely a highlight and one of my favorite parts of this game. And also, the gameplay is very fun. I was surprised. Everyone talks about this game like it's a walking simulator, but actually, you give it a try, I don't think it's like that at all. Mainly because I drove half the game, but still. But you have a lot of expression with choice, guns, weapons, the way you play out encounters, all that. And I think the things you can do in this game make it so unique. If you've been putting off this game because of what people have said about it, I'd really give it a try, because it is as good as most people have been saying. At number 2, we have Astro. This was easily one of my favorite games this year, and was almost my number 1 for most of the year. I think it was so smart of this game to separate each of the levels into these own galaxies, and you have these special connections, like, even though these levels aren't really connected, they're all part of this one big experience, so you're playing them in a specific order set by the game. I think the Snake Galaxy in specific does everything perfectly. We have the best level in the game back to back to back, in Slow Mo Casino, Bathhouse Battle, and Free Big Brother. And I think Free Big Brother is probably my favorite level in the game. I think the way they utilize the PlayStation controller in that level, since this was my first PS5 game, right? This is my first time trying this. I think the way the rain feels on your controller and the way blasting over those falling platforms, I don't know what you would call it. I think that is one of the smartest ways I've seen the controller used throughout my time with the PS5 so far. And then after you've completed all these levels, you go back and you start 100% collecting everything. And you know, a lot of people talk about how cameo bots and it feels like an ad, but I think you can enjoy this game without even knowing like half the characters. I don't even think I knew like half the characters when I played this game. And also, once you've done all of that, you get to the speedrun level and the free DLC they added after the game released. My favorite one was easily the one where you get the heat from Starblade, because I think the way they use the rail upgrade, like the ice rail, that you can do so much with it when it comes to like rushing through that level. It's so smart. Everything about this game feels so intentional, and it's one of the smartest platformers I've ever played. And my number 1 is The Last of Us Part 2. This game is probably one of the most controversial games ever made, and as someone who didn't like the original Last of Us, I thought I would never like this game. But once you give it a try, you really get into it, I think this is easily one of the best games ever made. It's free flow gameplay, the way you can move, I don't think any third person shooter even comes close. I really think this game is like next level for what this kind of genre can be. I think the things you can do, the way they implement stealth, the first game's stealth is pretty bad. Taking down zombies is not fun. Everything about the first game's gameplay, like actual gameplay, I mean, it doesn't even compare. It's like a massive leap. In 7 years, Naughty Dog really figured out how to make this kind of game. I played Uncharted 4 and the first Last of Us and Uncharted 1 all last year, and Last of Us Part 2 knocks all of them out of the water. It's not even close. I think people are justified in not liking the story. I wasn't someone who was personally the most in favor of the story. I think it's still a good story. I thought the characters really carried the way the story moves on. I think the characters, the performances, especially from Ashley Johnson and Laura Bailey, I think are very good. I think it's one of the best acted out games I've played. I think you add this amazing gameplay with this amazing like roster of characters, with this, it's just, and then music too. I mean, I haven't talked about music a lot in this video, and this probably isn't the best place to start, But the song in this game is so good. I think it does so much work to carry this game. I mean, all those elements, everything combined. It's like, it's such a neat package. I play this game so many times. I've already beaten it 3 times over. Every time I'm on my PS5, I just can't help but open up The Last of Us Part 2 and run more encounters. The fact they can let you do that from the menu is just so terrible, because every time I just can't help myself. I'm like, oh, I just have to do more. I have to do more. It's easily one of the best games I've ever played, and easily my game of the year for 2025.